Good evening, I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
Welcome to another edition of Sportslines Plus. Tonight, we'll be discussing the Knicks versus the Pacers, the Mets and Dodgers, Juan Soto, and more. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. The internet address is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. Again, it's youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. The Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers, having won their series against the Boston Celtics 4-2 on May 16th. So far, the Knicks are in big trouble as they are trailing in the series 2-0 after losing at home
Right.
to the Pacers 114-109 last night and losing 138-135 in overtime Wednesday after having a 14-point lead with less than 3 minutes left in regulation.
Wow.
They travel to Indiana and play these Pacers tomorrow night and Tuesday, and have to win 4 of their next 5 to get to the finals to face the winner of the Western Conference Finals featuring the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. What do you think of the Knicks' struggle so far, Steve?
Wow. I mean, this was really shocking. This is similar to what the Knicks did to Boston in the last series.
Yeah.
The Knicks actually got up in a 2-0 lead to Boston, and it looked like we had a chance to sweep them.
Yeah.
And then it became a great series with the
Of
Knicks
course.
winning in 6.
Right.
Here's what's going on. It's a combination of things.
Yeah.
First of all, I think for Knicks fans and their players, they thought once they beat Boston, they had reached the mountaintop. And we know Boston is our arch rival and has been for God knows how long. We have also met another team that is equally good, maybe very close to Boston, in the Indiana Pacers. What the Indiana Pacers have done, they have spread out our defense. They have exposed all of our weaknesses.
Oh, yes.
And one of our weaknesses is foot speed.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana might be the fastest team in the NBA.
Yeah, you just can't. I mean, looking at the 2 games, they just cannot slow this team down.
No.
They just cannot do it.
And that's a good point you bring up. First of all, I think if I'm the New York Knicks going forward, if we have any chance to beat this team, we have to slow ourselves down. Indiana is going to run regardless of who they're playing. We need to get that straight. But the New York Knicks can't play that game with them. They have to set up their offense. They have to let Jalen Brunson run the offense and get open for shots and look for the open man. But I think part of what they're doing, they're playing at Indiana's speed, and they're not going to win that way.
Yeah.
Secondly, Indiana is a team that's very hard to figure out because you looked at a team like Detroit and they had Cade Cunningham, and you knew he is the star player. When you face Boston, you know you have to deal with Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
When you face Indiana, you don't know who you're going to deal with because all 5 of those starters and their bench are equally good.
Halliburton, Siakam, Nesmith, Turner. Yeah.
I mean, the entire team. McCullough, who comes off the bench. This is a team that comes at people in waves. There's no weak spots on that team that I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
All 10 of those players can beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And last night we saw Siakam do it. He had a terrific game. 36 points, obliterated the Knicks with jump shots, jams to the basket, everything you could have thrown at you. He did it last night.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many ways that team can beat you. Halliburton, I remember last night, was being guarded. He stepped back to the 3-point line, walked up the court, and just threw it up.
I mean, the way that basket came in to tie the game, I mean, it's like...
Yeah. You're talking about the first game,
Yeah, the first game.
That first game is an indication of how Indiana plays. They are a carefree team. They play hard defensively, and they are relaxed. And they don't care how good your players are. They don't care how good Brunson is. Towns has been playing pretty well. But there's a way that they do it. They do it with their calmness. Mm-hmm. They do it with their comfort levels with each other. And they are a team.
Yeah.
And the word team is the key word. All of those players can kick your behind.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Turner can do it. Siakam did it. Halliburton took that miracle shot almost at the buzzer that hit the top of the backboard.
I mean,
And
I've
dropped
never
straight
seen
in.
that. I have never seen
seen
anything
either. And Aaron Nesmith, good player, but he did Steph Curry on them the first game. The man hit 6 3-point shots. Not even Steph Curry can do that. So I'm here to tell you, I get what's going on with this series. We are facing a team that believes they are better than us, much better, and they're taking full advantage of us. Now, when Mitchell Robinson is in the game, they're a little bit more careful with what they do because Mitchell Robinson has been the one defensive presence that scares them a little bit. But when he's out of the game, they go wild on the Knicks. They'll do everything. Their passing is superb. Last night I saw Halliburton turn his back and just flip it behind his back to somebody standing in front of the basket for a layup. You don't know what this team's going to do. And I think that's part of the Knicks' problem. They don't have any way of setting up for this team defensively. This team's speed and their aggressiveness. That little guy McCullough who comes off the bench, he's as good as any of the other guards they have. You put him in, boom, he's going to find the open shooter at the basket. He'll blow by Brunson with his speed. The Knicks need to get settled and figure out how they want to play. And as I said to you, I think the first thing they need to do, they need to slow their own pace down. This team takes advantage of all your mistakes. They love to get baskets on turnovers. And as soon as you score, they're coming right back to score. You can't take a break with that team.
No way.
So I think the first thing I would do if I'm the Knicks, but tomorrow night, I try to slow this team down with my pace. I try to make them play at my speed. This team will go off on you if you play their speed. That's the first problem they have. But secondly, I think the Knicks came into the series overconfident. They figured after they beat Boston, that was it. Well, Indiana has another word for that. They want to win a championship just as badly as the New York Knicks. I understand we've had to wait longer, 52 years. They have won ABA titles, but they've never won an NBA title. But I'm here to tell you, they might be the team that gets to play Oklahoma City in the finals because of the style of play. We might have better players overall, but they're not as quick, they're not as decisive, and they turn the ball over far too much.
Which means probably when the Knicks draft a player, they have to look for somebody who is quick like they are.
Not only that, that's right. They need to draft quick players. They need to draft guys who handle the ball well. This team very rarely turns the ball over if you've been watching these two games.
They do.
That's what's frustrating. The Knicks are trying to play defense with them, trying to tough it out with them, but this team is so confident in their ability because of what they did to us last year. So right now, I'm hoping the Knicks can win on Sunday to save face. I really am at the point now where I don't care who wins because I think they're going to go to the finals ahead of us as things stand now. But if the Knicks can win tomorrow, they'll be down 2-1. That opens the door a little bit for a comeback.
I mean, they've got to win tomorrow. This is it. Other than that, they're finished.
And to me, what we need to see from the Knicks tomorrow night is one word: poise under pressure. This team is so unpoised when they have to come through. We understand Jalen Brunson is the man for the New York Knicks, but how about Bridges and Anunoby stepping up and getting some points for us? Towns, who has been a defensive liability most of the year, is playing much better now because they're getting him the ball and he is being more aggressive.
And then Josh Hart, well, he's like everything.
Josh Hart, to me, is the Swiss Army knife of the New York Knicks. Anything you need him to do, he can do it. And he is a 6'4" guard who plays like he's 6'7" or 8. I wish we had 2 or 3 Josh Harts on this team. But we need a full effort tomorrow night from all of our people that play. And I would like to see, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau will do it, I would like to see him use the entire bench tomorrow night.
And we've mentioned that in the past. That Thibodeau does not like to use his bench.
No. He has been using 2 players on the bench, maybe 3. He's used Payne and McBride. Those are the main two guys off his bench. But we need to have 10, 11 guys. Indiana does that. They brought in some guy last night that I'd never seen who came into the game to slow down Robinson. They brought in a guy named Thomas Bryant who's been with other teams for 5 minutes. Why can't Thibodeau do that? What is wrong with putting in DeLon Wright, who's an excellent defensive guard? What's wrong with putting in Shemet? What's wrong with putting in P.J. Tucker?
Yeah.
And don't tell me P.J. Tucker's 39 years old and he can't play. If he can't play, take him off the roster.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that? Why can't you tomorrow night open your mind to Thibodeau, get all the players you can? Because one of the problems the Knicks are having, they are physically tired because this team runs rings around you all night long.
Yeah.
I understand people say, well, the Knicks shouldn't be tired because they've been losing these games. But you watch Indiana and you see how they run their team. They will wear you out. You see the way Oklahoma City plays? That's what the Knicks need to do. I want 10, 11 guys on that court tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I don't care how tired they are. You've got to go out there and help us win a game.
Yeah, I just got to bring this up. The Knicks up 14 points with under 3 minutes left in regulation. This is the first time that has happened in over 1,400 games.
Wow. See,
actually, one of our friends even brought that up.
Yes. What's happened to the Knicks is historic. It's historic and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Now, what we're looking for is to save face tomorrow night.
Yes, yes.
I personally, as I've said to you, don't care now if the Knicks win the series or lose. What I don't want to see, and most Knicks fans don't want to see this happen at all, is for the Knicks to get swept 4-0. We don't want that.
No.
We have been waiting 52 years to get to this level.
Yeah.
We're in the conference finals. We're this close to the next round, which is the finals. But we're not going to get there. We may not get there even if we play well tomorrow night. But I want the series to go 5 or 6 games so I can say we saved face. We gave this team a hard time. They were better than us. But one thing you can't have happen to you in a playoff series like this, you cannot allow another team to sweep you.
No way.
Because if you do that, they will really have the edge on you for years.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Now on to the Mets. They play the World Series champion Dodgers this weekend in a return of the rematch of the National League Championship Series last October. The Mets lost last night to the Dodgers 7-5 in 13 innings. The two teams play tonight at Citi Field for the Fox game and tomorrow night for the ESPN game. In the Subway Series at Yankee Stadium last weekend, the Mets lost 2 of 3 to the Yankees in Yankee Stadium due to sloppy play in those defeats.
Yes.
The Mets are in second place at 30-21 and are trailing the first place Phillies by 3 games. What is it with the Mets struggles and how should they approach these critical series against the
right
Dodgers?
Now, even though the Mets have a very good record, there are a lot of internal problems with this team.
That we'll discuss that a little later.
But there are a lot of things that are happening to this team. First of all, I'll go back to the first loss they had when they were at home, losing to the Pirates 4-0. That game might have been the beginning of the Mets having this bad streak. They were shut out by the Pirates, a team that can barely score any runs. It was a rain-filled game. We had to get that game in. And our starting pitcher, Clay Holmes, was decent that night, but not great. And I'll tell you what the biggest problem with the Mets is. They don't score runs with people on base. They are inept. They are one of the worst teams in baseball with runners on base.
Oh, boy.
And they shouldn't be that.
No.
When you acquire a Juan Soto, whom you've signed for 15 years.
We'll talk about him a little later.
Sure. But the problem is nobody is hitting well with runners on base. Not just him. We're talking about Pete Alonso. We're talking about Francisco Lindor. Mark Vientos is another one. This guy has disappeared on the Mets. He has 5 home runs for the year. 5. This man had 27 home runs after he was sent back to the minor leagues for the 3rd time last year. Who's playing third base now? You'll never guess. The
Fred
one player.
Beatty.
Correct. The one player that we thought was a bust. He is taking over at third base because not only is Brett Beatty playing the hell out of third base defensively, he has 6 home runs already. He's starting to become something on the team. This is where the problem is. This team can't score many runs. Their pitching is saving them from being really humiliated this season. And I'm very glad we do have Griffin Canning and Clay Holmes, because without them, we probably would be under 500 right now the way we're hitting.
Right.
We have a lot of work to do, and Carlos Mendoza is trying every way to change this. He's changed up the lineup. He's dropped Soto and Alonso down the lineup. He's using Marte. Good. That's what I want you to do. You're a manager. You have to shake it up. But they may need more than that. They might have to move Soto down to 7th or 8th before they get this straightened out. Right. He is doing nothing for the Mets right now.
Meanwhile, the Mets, just even though the Mets going through this slump, they have like 6 easy games coming up after the Dodgers series.
Now,
3 against the White Sox, and 3 this coming week, and 3 against the Rockies next week. Why
am I smiling as you say that, Pedro? It looks easy.
Yes.
But the Rockies and the White Sox, and by the way, the White Sox are getting better. They couldn't have been any worse than they were last year.
No.
But I'm here to tell you, if you're a New York Met fan, don't sleep on these teams.
No.
Do not sleep on these teams. The Mets for years have had that problem. When they play teams that they're supposed to beat, they get their behinds whipped. Now, I understand they're playing the Dodgers this weekend. I'm hoping they can win 2 of these 3 games.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to hope for. But the Dodgers have proven they're not invincible either.
I mean, they had a 5-game losing streak, first of all.
That's right.
And they got swept by the Angels at Dodger Stadium at home.
Correct. So they're not invincible either. The Mets could actually beat them if they could score some runs with people on base. That's why I brought up Juan Soto. This man, I am perplexed.
And on the subject of Juan Soto.
On the topic of Juan Soto, I have no answers for any Met fan right now.
I mean, he despite the fact he drew a lot of walks, he's only batting .236 with 8 home runs and 21 RBI.
We're talking about one of the 5 best hitters in baseball, hitting .236. That is a disgusting batting average.
Yeah.
I understand he got robbed of a couple of home runs in St. Louis. There have been some balls that were hit hard that people have caught at the wall, leaped up and caught at the wall. I get that. But can you give me a single with people on base? Can you give me something other than pop-ups and ground balls? And I saw him Wednesday night against Garrett Crochet. That was an embarrassing at-bat. He got you out on 3 pitches, 3 fastballs in a row. He struck out 3 times in that game. He has done nothing for the Mets lately. He was 0 for 5 last night against the Dodgers. If he gets 1 hit, the Mets could have won that game.
He's had 2 hits. The last 5 games, he's had 2 hits in his last 19 at-bats.
Now, I have to ask, honestly, are we looking at, and I'm going to say this, are we looking at somebody that we used to like as a major league player? Are we looking at Jason Bay? Are we looking at Carlos Beltran? Remember the bad years these 2 guys had? Remember Carlos Beltran's first year Met fans?
Yeah.
16 home runs the whole year. That was it. Next season, he was the star. He's now a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Juan Soto straightens up before.
And also, too, he's been criticized for not really hustling.
Yes.
He has not been hustling. I mean, a number of Met fans that I've read about, stories like blogs and stuff, he has not been struggling. He's been not hustling enough.
Let me tell you, for Met fans, we have been as nice to this man and as patient as we've ever been for a star. You and I have been to Met games this year. I've been to 3, you've been to 1. We are giving this man standing ovations to help him.
That's right.
We want him to succeed.
Yes.
But we're going to get turned off and we're going to start booing him. I'm telling you it's coming. And I will be one of those who will do that because I'm so upset with his performance right now.
Yeah.
I am trying to hold my patience watching this guy.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we have to understand with him, he has never been the leader of a team offensively.
No.
Now, you can argue with me on that, but I'll bring up my facts to you.
Yeah.
When he was with the Nationals, they had Harper, they had Turner, and they had Ryan Zimmerman. All he had to do was fit in with those 3 guys.
Yeah.
San Diego, case in point. Manny Machado is a Hall of Fame guy, probably for sure.
Yeah.
And Fernando Tatis Jr. Boy, I love his father, Fernando Tatis. Very good player.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, with the Yankees, oh, yeah, they tell me, yeah, he had Aaron Judge. He had more than that. He had Stanton, who's a big home run threat in that lineup. He had LeMahieu when he won his batting championship. He's still considered a decent player, although his career is ending fairly soon as it's going. But he's always had help everywhere. Now the difference is he has to lead the help. He is not one of the characters in the play. He has to take the
starring role. He is the star of the play.
Right.
Kind of reminds me a little bit George Foster.
Yes.
Another
good
big
analogy.
example. George Foster.
Good analogy.
Even though George Foster had less to deal with, George Foster had less
media attention.
Not so much media attention, but he had less around him.
Right.
When he started, first season he had only like 13 home runs.
That's right.
And he got like maybe between 25 and 30 home runs. He had decent seasons,
right,
but not like big, great seasons.
I'll tell you, the best season he had was last season. He had 28 home runs for the Mets.
The last season, that's 85.
Right.
Last full season.
But what I'm here to tell you is we have to get this guy turned around and quick.
Yeah.
Because the Mets season relies on him.
Yeah.
Sure, we have Pete Alonso, who's having a terrific year.
Yeah.
And I believe if he hits 280 with the power he has, and he has not hit any home runs for weeks.
Yeah.
He only has 9. But if he finishes up well, I think the Mets will give him what I will call a lifetime contract.
Yeah.
Lindor has been very good, except for his first year with the Mets.
Yeah.
But we need this guy to come through now.
Oh, yes.
Because we rely on this guy.
Yeah.
Those two, Lindor and Alonso, made it easy for Soto could hide under them for the first month and a half.
Yeah.
But now that they are not on fire, he has to get it going.
That's right.
I don't know what it will take. I believe, and I'll say this to all of you, I believe we need to get a meeting with him and a sports psychologist, maybe a couple of them, to sit down with this guy and let's discuss what you don't like. I've heard rumors he doesn't like playing for the Mets. I've heard other rumors about his sulkiness and his attitude. Let's get that straightened out quickly.
Yeah.
Because this season could go down the drain because of him.
The funny thing is he's in his 4th team in 5 years.
Yes.
A number of Mets sites have mentioned that. Mets fans, Mets signs have mentioned 4 teams in 5 years. Why are you playing on and he's only 26.
Right.
Some people say that, that attitude may be the reason why he's the problem.
And here's what I'm going to say about that. That's a very good analogy. But I'm going to tell you, in football, there's a player like that. His name is Odell Beckham. Giant fans may remember him.
Oh,
he has been on 4 or 5 teams also. Talent out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
A terrific player when he wants to be. But over the years, his attitude is part of the reason he's been on 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah.
I see Juan Soto in a similar light.
Mm-hmm.
A very talented player, a guy who you can win games with, who will help you win. But you have to ask yourself, why hasn't he stayed with one team?
Right.
And I have heard with the Yankees, part of the reason he didn't stay with them, his family felt really treated badly.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets actually gave this guy a suite where his family could sit and watch the games.
Mm-hmm.
They actually gave him a plane for them to fly around the country when they're traveling.
Yeah.
The Yankees weren't going that route.
Yeah.
They offered the money to him. Actually, they offered more than the Mets. I think they offered 16 years for similar money.
Mm-hmm.
But his family told him, they said, Juan, you've got to go to the Mets. They're treating us better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Steve Coleman mentioned it. He got a hold of all of that.
Oh, yeah. You listen to your family, at least I did, even when I was an adult. You listen to your family, and they're telling you, I like the treatment of the Mets. I like who they are. I think that's a better place.
Maybe his family should be at his games more often.
That would help a guy like him. I think he needs some pampering and some comfort and some pats on the back.
Yeah.
I would do that for him.
Yeah.
But I'm getting tired of doing it.
Yeah.
And all Met fans, I think you can honestly say, we've had enough of this.
Yeah.
We need you to grow up. I know you're 26. That's a very young age to lead a team. But you have earned the right to lead us based on your performances with every team you have been with. Please, Juan, don't let us down.
No.
We are trying to win a
Don't let
World
us down.
Series.
I agree.
We are very close to getting there. but we are relying on you to help us get there.
Mhm.
And you have to do it. And we've got to get him straightened out, or the season could go the other way very quickly.
Yeah. As for the Yankees, who were in first place at 30-20, they face the Colorado Rockies in Denver this weekend. The two teams are playing as we speak, and the Yankees are destroying the Yankees 13-1 in the top of the 8th inning.
Wow.
They just scored 2 runs in the 8th inning, and they scored 10 runs. 10 runs. 10 runs in the 5th inning.
This is what happens to bad teams.
Yeah.
When they play a team of the caliber of the New York Yankees, they put their heart and soul into it, but usually by the 4th or 5th inning, they're toast.
Yeah.
However, I'll give Colorado credit. They are not going to get swept in this series.
Because they beat the Yankees last night, 3-2.
Actually beat the Yankees 3-2 last night. So we congratulate Colorado for not being a doormat to the Yankees in the series completely. But today is what usually happens to bad teams. Mm-hmm. The Mets are soon going to play this team also.
Next weekend.
I'm very worried about the Mets now because we have 2 teams that we're supposed to beat next week. Mm-hmm. The White Sox, who are getting better, they're still a long way off from being a good team, but you can see signs of it. And the Rockies, who are probably the worst team in baseball, but you cannot get embarrassed by them.
No way.
The Mets have to win at least 2 of those games.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
We'll see what happens, but the Yankees definitely are pounding them today.
Meanwhile, next weekend, the Yankees travel to Los Angeles for a rematch of the World Series between the 2 teams.
Oh, boy.
This should be an interesting series.
It should be. First of all, the Yankees won't have Garrett Cole pitching for them, so they have a chance to win. Garrett Cole got his behind kicked in that 5th game. He did pitch well up until the 5th inning of that game, but everything fell apart.
Actually, the Yankees beat them. So it was Judge. Wasn't it Judge made the big error?
Aaron Judge had made no errors for the entire year.
Yeah,
that was his first error. What a key time to do it in a World Series.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And from there, the game went right down the drain. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, I've said the Mets are the better team than the Yankees. Even now, I will tell you that because the one game the Yankees won was the Anthony Volpe show. That was his game. He won that game for the Yankees. But the Yankees are a good team, very good team, but I don't think they'll be as good as the Dodgers this week either. I think the Dodgers, yes, they have flaws. Yeah, they've lost 2 of their starting pitchers to injury, Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow. But that lineup can hit. Yeah. And I'm sorry to tell the Yankees, you're going to have to prove to me you can match up with this team. And I don't think you have enough to do it.
Meanwhile, the Islanders have hired Matthew Darche as their next general manager. He succeeds Lou Lamoriello, who had run the Islanders front office since 2018-2019. Lamoriello was dismissed after the Islanders missed the playoffs this past season. Under Lamoriello, they reached the conference finals in 2020 and then the equivalent stage in the modified 2021 Stanley Cup playoffs bracket. But in the last 4 years, after losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games, the Islanders were unable to advance past the first round in 2 postseason trips. Coincidentally, Darche was on the opposite side of the Islanders in back-to-back exits at Tampa Bay's hands. They won he was their director of hockey operations when they won the Stanley Cup in 2020 and 2021.
First of all, let me just tell you this. Lou Lamoriello was a great executive for years for the Islanders. But here's the thing. When you're 82 years old, which is what he was, it's time to go. Okay? That's number one. I don't care who they get when the guy is that old. You have to replace him. Now, here's where Darche is a very strong guy. He has won not 1, but 2 Stanley Cups with, as you mentioned, the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was a former NHL player. He played for 12 seasons on 9 different teams. He knows how to run a team extremely well. Islander fans are probably ecstatic right now they have this guy. He's only 48 years old. He is the one running the team. And I'm talking executive VP, and general manager. He is the voice of the Islanders now.
Yep.
And he probably will get this team back into the playoffs. And I talked to one of my friends who's an Islander fan, and I said, you're looking for the glory days of the Islanders again, and this guy might be able to do it for you.
Interesting.
So I'm a Ranger fan, as my partner is here, but I respect the Islanders. When they were a great team back in the late 70s, early 80s, they were phenomenal. For 4 years, almost 5. They are trying to get back to that level. And here's what they got. In the draft, they actually got the first pick in the draft this year. They weren't expected to get that. It was a shock to everybody. They got the first pick in the draft. Now they have their choice of who they want to lead them. Matthew Schneider is supposed to be a superior left wing, big guy, 6'3" or 4, who they know he's a really good player. However, there's competition to decide who they draft. There's another player that they're very interested in. His name is Michael Ciani, I believe, and he is an offensive player, a center. The Islanders desperately need scoring. They might have to decide on him. And the third possibility is a guy from Long Island. That's a tempting pick when you're the Islanders. This guy's name,
Hometown boy.
Higgins is his last name. And that's a question for the Islanders. Who do they draft? Do they draft the hometown guy with the fans, a lot of them wanting them to do that? Or do they draft Matthew Schneider? Or do they draft Michael Misa, who is also a superior player, but he's an offensive player? Tough choice for the Islanders.
Indeed.
But remember, the Islanders only missed the playoffs by about maybe 6-7 games. The Rangers finished ahead of them, but that was 3 points ahead of them. So the Islanders are about ready to turn everything around, starting with this first pick. This guy they have now, Darch, will be in charge of all this. He will make the decisions as who they're going to draft. They don't have anybody else that he needs to confer with. He doesn't have to worry about another guy, Brendan Shanahan, who was supposed to possibly work with him. They put him in charge of everything. So Islander fans, from the ones I've heard of, they are very happy they have this guy. He is probably going to be, as I would put it, the wunderkind of the Islanders and turn that franchise back around.
Good.
But we'll see what happens. But it'll be very interesting in the draft coming up in June.
Indeed. For Steve Ferguson, I'm Pedro Hazel Jr. saying thanks for joining us. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. The internet address is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy Memorial Day.